Hello world, my name is Rose Golden, but my life is anything but golden. Actually, my full legal name is way longer and ironically unisex, but I just like being called that name, and won't even mention that full name. I am a white trans woman, pansexual, autistic, ADHD, disabled, and survivor of many horrible things for being all these concepts. I have always been a perfect, or I haven't always been a perfect person. I don't think of myself as perfect or capable of such. I hold myself to some pretty unrealistic standards to compete in a world that refuses to recognize me. If I don't like what I see in the world, I'm told to change it or work on it. But what happens is, if it's indifference, stochastic terrorism, misinformation, dogma, and propaganda, they haven't the response but die. Complaining about it just pushes them away because they don't see my fears, my aspirations, and perspective legitimate. They call me mentally ill, and I would agree. The world did this to me when I was just trying to be myself. Now, I have my guns up, anxious looking over my back, thinking people who'd call themselves my family turn on me, and paranoid my life will be taken away from me in so many ways. The mental anguish I go through makes me psychotic and requires me to take pills to manage. Many nights I end up crying and or yelling about everything happening to me, unable to fight it, unable to speed up the healing, and putting a lot of emotional labor on my husband, who swore he'd protect me no matter what. And his family grows indifferent to our marriage, leaving of the country or me in general because I wasn't everything they wanted, but I'm everything Ian ever wanted. He just wants me to be happy. I want to be happy for him, and it's so hard. A lot of the days I don't do anything really productive, and that's a privilege. I hold over those who work every day towards something, but one I don't want. It's because I can't, like many of the times I want to, but I'm so wildly depressed or mentally out of it to do something. Many times I sit in my chair long stretches of the day doing nothing, disassociating, just stuck in my head. I don't want to be this way, and I've had people accuse me of wanting to be this way, and I don't understand how being this upset is something worth being. Do these people do they see me being upset as power because I can draw any sympathy from them, forced or otherwise? They think I mean to cause them harm by making everyone uncomfortable with how I feel, never drawing reasons to why I'm reacting at all. The way I'm acting is to them constantly unjustifiable because they don't understand me. They refuse to see my fear, understand them loudly, but I refuse to internalize their beliefs because they're not mine, and that insults them because they think it should be ours, universal. It isn't a verse that fits all, and they can't force their imperialism onto me with righteousness. God doesn't speak for or through me and isn't calling me from a book written by old dead people. I have to be civil to my oppressors. For they do not know they're oppressive, just arrogantly alt-right, pretty much the same thing though. But deep down, I always know the truth they want to refuse because it's more my truth and not theirs to share. They follow the herd, but from what I heard, group think is bad and leads to mobs, leading to populism, calling it democracy when you're just simple-minded and want things to be easy. The universe isn't easy. The odds are stacked against us, and it's amazing we're here at all as a miracle. The religious fanatics want me to embrace all what God has created, not including the chaos you see in space, all the tragedy not by design, despite the established math and science God created independent of us. We just live in this tide and flow where the universe takes us, but overthink why. We don't know why, but we want to desperately know why. And in that desperation, give up everything they have for the sake of God to show their faith and devotion through the emotional and physical turmoil. I was born blue and not breathing. I mention it a lot because I often wonder why God would ever want to keep me alive. For what purpose would they gain from making me disabled, autistic, or trans? I keep being told that life is God experiencing life itself, and we're all a little bit of God trying to live a life of limitations. But we sure don't treat our neighbor nicely as if that was the case. And God lived next door and inside us all. I'm limited by birth, by my environment, and by myself. I can't help being born the way I was, but they act as if the devil was inside me the whole time. Especially when I get upset, when I start crying and shouting at the world for what it's done. The anguish. It's only ever anger, not cries for help or anything justifiable. Male pattern, because anger is a man's emotion. Don't you know only women cry and men yell, robbing all women of their anger and all men of their sadness, not allowing nuance or any in between gray area. All the possibilities a person could ever be offend the most fascistic, bigoted, and prudish. Forbid the person being happy, forbid God experiencing joy being that person for once. Hasn't God experienced the bigot enough? I don't understand them. They don't want to bring heaven on earth and are more determined to do the opposite, to bring hell instead. Bringing hell helps bring upon the end times, the second coming of Christ, and with it all, the rapture. They want vindication. They want proof that the debauchery, the sinfulness, and victimless crimes are irredeemable and requiring eternal damnation and punishment. Our souls with no reincarnation to them need to learn and know forever they messed up, while the ones that did everything right live in an exclusive club where nothing ever bad happens. Taking up space and concept and dimension relevant to a god, taking up energy for one soul that's been bad. To what end? The God-fearing are trapped within old lines drawn up by badly translated interpretations and writing produced by dead people that want to control their local town because they seem lost without any education to explain why some things are. Back then, when something happened, it was because God deemed it so, not any sort of science or math to know definitively. I can definitely say I'm a woman, though. Trans, but still a woman, a type of woman, separate from a cis woman, and purposely so. I know I can't be born a female if I'm already born male. That's not how time works, transphobes. That being said, I'll lawfully call myself a female as a self-respect. I am a woman in my heart, in my soul, and in my mind. To me, I was born a woman, girl realistically, and didn't know it then. I will always be a woman. My parts might be different to a cis woman's, but to me, that doesn't validate my identity. I know who I am. They can't analyze my mind to know definitely, as I do, not without trusting the science that already supports our existence or the science behind brain analyzation. You could tell them it's peer-reviewed and tested, and it's going to be wild for them to accept because it's not simple how they want it. It doesn't speak to their truth. Like how dinosaurs were considered scaly, or now maybe feathery, or you will find people fighting all the time over this. Or Pluto being an exoplanet, or trans women are women. It doesn't make them happy that all they know that all their life is suddenly changing because people discovered new knowledge and expanded what they know. They feel left out, like they should have been invited to the meeting with all the scientists when they convened on the findings and research. They want to be armchair psychologists, independent toilet fringe scientists, and a pillar of knowledge others need to listen to if they want any respect around them. When they lack the credentials, the rights, or means to institute their beliefs onto others, coming in with fabricated evidence from a cherry-picked, rigged premises, they could only produce the results they expect. Anything different from what they expect must be wrong. The contradictory is ignored. They force their ideology onto science by creating laws restricting research and restructuring funding. Science is woke. It denies the religious a dialogue to speak their bigoted, reductionist faith. They think they cause good by making the government also follow their faith, make themselves punish for stepping outside, asking the government to play a part in faith by forcing it on everyone. They want to say, I, or people like me, force their ideology onto others, but it's yours that pushes onto me. Growing up with Disney, Hallmark, and social media, you get to see a lot of heterosexual cis relationships being forced onto you without realizing it's just normal to you. The teachers that's talking about their honeymoon to their students is only okay if it's a cishet woman. The cishet woman talking about trying for a baby isn't weird despite broadcasting your sexual activities. But when I talk about wanting a family, I'm the evil one. I can't produce a child like a cis woman, and that too is held over me like an egregious sin. Many of cis women can't produce children because of cancer or something outside their control. They lack the parts, and to me, that's no different towards me. My existence is to them jamming something down the throat. But it's just them with a frog in their throat, too afraid to do the introspection to figure out why. My pain, or my life is painful to think about, even for me. If I have to explain why I am the way I am, it will require opening old wounds to prove who I am. I shouldn't have to do it for every single person I meet, proving my humanity to them. I'm better than the sum of my experiences. I got way more life left in me with all the possibilities that can come with it. When I can't fit into a neat box that doesn't fit this belief, they get upset when the label they support doesn't fit. And that's my fault to them. Not their stringent criteria that's impossible to appease. They refuse to change what they consider set in stone, but the stone or book doesn't dictate how life will play out. Even if you do pass their criteria, they'll move the goalpost because they found their criteria not refined enough to control you. Writing down or demanding the limitation on reality itself, even with fabricated studies, when the people who don't fit their perspective are the proof their imperialism fails them. You can't erase what is true and what happens naturally. It keeps happening despite your faith, laws, or pseudoscience. Your correlations will never lead to causations. You're playing a gamble. Just as much as me, you don't know for a fact that this is what God wants out of you. If it is to be a bigot in some shape, they probably wouldn't want you to avoid the heartache. It is only the sinful that will experience the hubris when the punishment is brought upon them. The heartache. They brought hell to us, to them, and the punishment is that it is here. If you are to be bound by your faith, you're required to respect your neighbors as if it was God. When bigots get repercussions, they scream cancel culture, but they can't. They built a culture around canceling people. The death cult whines, you're going too far demanding your humanity be heard. But when justice swings and hits them, hell should be their punishment, and it is what they created. Except we don't punish those that create the systems that perpetuate the atrocities we face. Capitalism. Capitalism is the vehicle that creates our suffering. It is the reason many things the way they are. You're a product being constantly sold. Either you're being bought or someone is trying to give you yourself up for free. Your time is precious. Why stay here wasting it knowing you won't get it back? They suffer knowing they do it for someone else. They're being depended upon. I get it, but that's why this is violence. At least to me it is. It is personal. I can't trust that without me, the people I care about will continue to be cared about without me. And to me, that seems by the capitalist design. They bought their way into our governments, or have been. Maybe they have always been there. After all, this place was made by a bunch of white slave owners that couldn't recognize the sovereignty of the native people any more than the humanity of either the slaves or native neighbors. I'm numb to this. I want to give back, but you don't know how unstable I am, or unable, to do that. I'm limited, disabled if you will, just working to keep myself alive and busy. I'm pro land back, pro you should get your time back, pro you should get your body back. I lack the power to change it, and I don't intend to stay here enough to change it. I don't feel proud or attached enough to this place, the United States, to want to save it from itself crushing under its own design. It can't keep up with the lust for never-ending wealth under a world with limited resources that doesn't want to waste any more time on suffering perpetuated by this regime, but is forced to live under it because we gave it power. I want everyone to abandon the model, just have everyone's needs met, ignoring monetary interests, focusing on prosperity. Fuck your profits, especially if it requires other people's suffering. Fuck it. While you want money to do what is right,
I help because it gives me the warm, fuzzy feeling that's profit enough for me. I do what's right, not because I know there's this threat of hell and the treat of heaven if I behave. I refuse to be naive to their apathy capitalism brats, playing off the homeless, addicted, or criminals only exist because capitalism created them. The homeless need to be sold or rented a home. The addicted need to be sold a remedy, get into expensive therapy, or sold religion. The criminals only need to be sold a job, an honest one that offsets all the reasons why they do criminal behavior at all. We don't work on mental health, but we couldn't care about anyone's general health unless they pay. This is a terrible system. Combined with religion, anytime something bad happens to a sinner, it was because they sinned. The system is rigged, and we got cheerleaders cheering at our suffering as if God and them are on the winning team. We could bring heaven on earth if I could make you care. Hating me won't make me suck less. I stop hating everyone as it doesn't make them suck less. You should try. I'm wasting time and energy hating. You couldn't be worth it. I have everything I want, but I'm just worried I'll lose it. I'm in defense, so you might be the aggressor. I'm the victim, and it pains you. Because you want that victim card so badly. If anything, just to tear it up because it's useless to you, it wasn't for you. Metaphorically assuming you accept zero-sum games, playing stupid games and winning the proverbial stupid prize, laughing as if we're in the same pot of boiling water. Every little loss trans people face is one more way we're being excluded from the public life. We have very little reasons to civilly respect your way of life if it ever presses mine. Every trans woman you worry about being a predator is only ever described to me as if they're a cishet man pretending. But now you're forcing post-transition trans men into women's bathrooms that visibly look like men, giving perfect excuse to the cishet man planning to become predators. The excuse would be so easy. I took testosterone. I'm a trans man, and I'm supposed to be here by law. The last person leaving the women's restroom unaware they just let a predator take advantage of some other person's body. That should be wrong no matter what. This rhymes with grape. Well, trans woman who's forced to go into men's kinda signal to everyone she's down to fuck. Or to the preds. She's just walking into the men's, nervously checking her shoulder before going in, and they follow her in there looking for easy tail. She too is getting raped, or worse, harmed. Do you know what V coding is? It's when the prison system decides to give the more heinous criminals a bone to chew on. A trans woman to fuck without her consent, sometimes with marriage-like properties. Would you agree if any trans woman is going to be punished, rape should never be on the table as punishment? It's not on the table for cis men and women, but not trans women. It's cruel and unusual punishment by someone who isn't even the judge that brought them to prison. It's the prison itself. The people running the prison. Run their prisons where their most violent sit at the top and get their dicks wet on the US taxpayers' dime. Can you not justify this suffering? When trans women are put into women's prisons, they are put there with considerations, like being separate for obvious reasons, but still with dignity. Do judges reserve the right to make sure that their punishment isn't augmented by the prison they send their convicted to? Is their judgment not good enough? You want to do more. You can't justify it, so you shut me down, knocking me and everything I said because it makes you uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable too. I don't like knowing any of this. Being me isn't easy, and you can't take it from me. You don't have to hear a constant anxious internal monologue 1 second turn into hypothetical commentary shitstorms with me being in the center defending myself. I'm assuming to preemptively keep myself from being harmed, which is neat except for one I can't make it stop and become legitimately psychotic. Like, you wouldn't believe how the Trump election results affected me, to how much it feels like stochastic terrorism. Even now, How do you not hear everything and panic in my shoes? You're not in my shoes in all the time. So how should I react? What privilege to assume your perspective de facto, more true than my life being threatened? Me being separated from public life, even in areas I had no plans on going into, like sports or public restrooms, that use stalls. If that one trans woman you base your entire ideology is a predator, then she alone is a predator, and it would be agreed bigotry to stereotype and assume all trans women must be predators. I would never say to anyone a legit predator doesn't deserve punishment, except what if by existing? What if by being present? What if by the interpretation and by everyone who claims victim was perceived predation nothing more than bigotry? That this trans woman being punished isn't a predator, but is actually a victim. The defamer bigots wasted everyone's time just to see one less person. The fellow bigot cops can just accept this, including the bigot judges, the prisons that are all on this sick joke, for a bunch of cishet men worried about men being wrongfully committed on rape charges. They wouldn't do it for another man. You know what you should do? Support trans people if you're upset about what you're seeing, and go after your legal representatives and or replace them. Support the ACLU and Human Rights Coalition and other organizations defending and helping trans people like us. Buy our art, ask for our services, like our videos, subscribe to our channels, do everything, support that seems humanly easy for you. We don't need you bleeding yourself dry for us, but spending a little time and energy towards making sure our collective happiness is reached. Because trans rights are human rights. If you like this, you can of course subscribe and like this video for more. I plan on sharing more stuff like this, game development diaries, art and game streams, and other technical or personal special interests. I want to use this channel to outlet my frustrations I have for the world onto something productive and creative. I want to be able to share my feelings, beliefs, happiness with everyone, not just educate and entertain. I don't create as much art as I consume, and this fixes that. I don't put out much love I have for this world or ways to correctly express my disappointment. Here's me and this channel to change it, and I hope over time my impact will reciprocate, and I feel the love too. Love you, every pony. Stay safe.